Well, let me greet you today in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Today, I thought I should just talk about something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about church and social media. I'm sure you can all admit that since this lockdowns, with the COVID-19, we have been forced in a way to find a more effective way of communicating to our members. Obviously, we are hoping that our members, wherever they are, they have access to social media, Facebook, WhatsApps. What I've been doing is, using the material that we have had in our church that we've been storing up for years now. We've been having messages around lunchtime, a full sermon, and then in the evenings, and then in the late evenings, then I will put the talk show, the Amaru talk show, so that as people are at home, at least they have something that they can look at that will encourage them. And you must understand that social media in general has a lot of bad things in there, And I think one of the reasons why there's a lot of bad things in social media is because the church is always slow, sometimes in taking some of these available platforms to push the gospel. And I'll talk more about that. But before I go into that, I just want you to know that I have a background in technology. From when I was young at primary school, I was fixing digital watches. They were very common then. I used to know, I used to open things up. I remember my grandmother bought, the Radio Champion. And while it was still new, as a small boy, I'm not sure how old I was, probably 5, 6, somewhere there. I remember opening it up. I had a screwdriver, opened it up because I imagined that there was a small man inside the radio who was speaking, and I wanted to see that. So I unscrewed everything, opened it up to check in there. There were just, batteries and cables in there. I was disappointed. So I've always been very inquisitive to find out what is really going on inside. So I was fixing watches, I was fixing, TVs. During then, in the 80s, we used to use aerials, for analog TV. So because I was staying in Palape, the network was not so good. I think then we must have depended on the signal from Murupule. But where we were, it was a little bit difficult to get any signal. And so what we used to do is to buy what they called a booster. So you'll have your aerial, a booster, and a power supply that supplied the booster so that the signal was good. And I learned, at primary school, I learned how to use that. I used to climb up on the roof to fix the signal of the TV. And also, at the same time, fixing watches. And I remember when I was at Trelos Chaba, there was no electricity. I was in Malalatau, there was no electricity then. And one day as I was just going in the storeroom, I saw there were solar panels there. And then we had a tractor battery, a huge one. And we had a TV. So I thought, we don't have electricity, we can't watch TV. So I took the solar panels that were there, put them up on the roof and connected the cables so that during the day, the solar panel will charge the huge battery. And at night, we used to watch TV. And also because the house was wired, we also used to switch on the lights, And so that's how I've always been like. So my mind works like that. And that is why I also studied electronics when I went to school. When I went to University of Botswana in 95, I went there to do what they called PESC. It's a pre-entry science course. And then after that, I went into first year of BSc. But it was very clear for me that I wanted to do electronics in that. It's just that I had a conflict because when I was at Trelos Chaba, which was in 94, God called me clearly into the ministry. So I was torn between my love for electronics and also the fact that I was struggling with a call. I remember when I was at university, I used to fast excessively, sometimes missing classes because I would be so weak. One time I fasted 17 days, non-stop. And it was crazy. So I was battling within myself. And after the first year at university, the BSc, we had interviews with Debswana for instrumentation, And I went there. I mean, those guys were impressed with my interview. They asked me about, what I have done technologically. So I took them step by step through how to connect a television and to boost the signal. Those guys, after that, they just, immediately told me that you are taken. And so I went to Jwading, Debswana, and finally they took me to Joburg, where I met my wife. And I was studying electrical engineering, what they call light current, that's electronics and stuff, because of my interest. But during that time, I was still struggling with this call thing. And I didn't understand how God was balancing these two, electronics and my call. What was the use of it? Only later did I realize what God was doing in my life. Because today, when you talk about technology that I am interested in, or that I was interested in, that's where the communication is today. When you talk about, right now I'm communicating to you probably through Facebook or maybe YouTube. We haven't met some of you. We can't meet because of the lockdown, but I am communicating to you. I'm sharing something with you, and you are able, in the comfort of your home, at the office, in the computer, to listen to me. So we see that communication through this platform has far surpassed communication that is physical, which traditionally as Christians we honor and we place at a higher value. And with the lockdown restrictions, it has come to question us once again about what is it that we really place. We place a higher value in touching, in greeting with a hand. In our culture, the African culture, and also in the church, we hug, we are close. And so this whole restrictions are challenging us. I mean, at funerals, it's sad. It's really sad. I mean, many people are traumatized right now because of the way they carried out their funerals during the lockdown, because they could not understand how a funeral of their loved one went the way they went. And in our culture, we know that we are happiest when more people attend our funerals. We don't make invitations, written invitations, but when people come, it is the most comforting thing. Now, people cannot be physically there. You understand? All they can do is send an SMS, call, that's it. And that's the communication that is available right now in this time. So we realize that all of our traditional ways of doing church, is being challenged. Right now on Facebook, we have thousands of friends. When you send me a friend request, I accept. Right now, I'm at my full, personal account. It is set full. You can only have 5,000 friends. And then I have a Facebook page, Pastor Muluki Mohokwani, which can have as many followers as you. All you have to do is to like it. And I have more than 33,000 there who are following my things. And the way I have done it personally is that I've separated the two. I have my own personal Facebook page, Muluki Mohokwani, which is more like, how can I put it so that it doesn't sound out? More like the real me, the natural me, the person me, not the pastor, me, the fun me, the family guy me, the normal person me, where I can make jokes, I can just be fun, I can be myself. And that page, I have decided in my mind that page, my personal page, is mostly to promote family values. If you go in there, you'll see my children, you see my wife. I write things about my wife, about my children, and just things in general. It is something that I have chosen. There are those who say, no, don't put your stuff on Facebook. Hey, people are what. Look, I'm an influencer. And if I can use my Facebook to influence people, yes, I could have chosen just to present a pastor, funny, serious man of God, on Facebook. But then you will not connect with the natural man, the guy who can, do the Jerusalem dance, and groove, just the natural me, and see how silly I can be. I put myself there making magui. I am just a natural guy who has got strengths and weaknesses, who can be silly also. And that is what that page is all about. And then on the other hand, I have the page, Pastor Muluk Mokwani page. If you look at it, it's purely for ministry. My preachings, spiritual deep stuff. If you just want the pastor, the serious man of God, and you don't want the silly guy, just go there. You'll enjoy the sermons. You'll go enjoy serious things and all of that. That's where we put our sermons. That's where we put our talk show. That's where we share ministry-related things. And for those who are just interested in that, it's the best place to go. And so what I'm trying to say is that social media, the internet, has given us an ability to influence people that are not only within our locality, but even outside our locality. It has truly made it possible for us to reach Jerusalem, to reach Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. Because right now, people in America are watching. They see what we are doing. People in Russia, people in Korea, people all over the world, through their smartphones, they can see what is happening. And the smartphone has become, small, so that we can use with a big screen where we can see real things. And the internet speed has increased so that there's no buffering. Things are so quick. And of course, the church always has its reservations at the beginning of these things. And that's what I want to challenge today. So for me, as a pastor, I've been using the internet or social media for a very long time to communicate to people that I may not physically see, people that may never come to our church or we may never meet. For years now, I have been doing that. For years now, I've been making sure that I influence Mogodisane AFM. Through Mogodisane AFM, we have over the time, increased our visibility online, especially Facebook. We started doing Facebook Live some years ago, just with my iPad, a very simple, direct thing with my iPad, making sure that people can, and then we, of course, started growing in that. We are not where we want to be because this whole thing is very expensive. And as you know, we're building a church and our budget, we're trying to balance everything. But at least people are able to see. Right now in this lockdown, we've been able to broadcast a message during lunch, evening, and then late night with the talk show, because we have the material that we are preparing at that time. So this is social media. Social media has made it possible for us to continue to impact lives even during this time. My point is, the church is about communicating the gospel message, and communication, according to me, when it comes to communication, the church should be the first to find the most effective ways of communicating, because we have a message to give to the world. So in other words, we should be the ones who are advanced in terms of technology to find a way we can communicate the gospel more. I am told that, especially here in Africa, originally when they educated us, they wanted us to be able to read the Bible. So education basically at the beginning was about, look, teach these people how to read so that they can read their own Bible. And of course, it has grown to science and other areas, philosophy and other things. But when we originally were taught how to read, it was so that we can read the Bible. So you can see that communication through the written word was originally for the gospel, and somehow we lost it along the way. We allowed other things to take over, and then we took a back seat. I am also told that when television originally came, the Christians demonized it. They thought, the television because of entertainment. Obviously, the people, there was entertainment there, more like television was evil because of the content. But if you think about it, if television came through Christians and the first television programs were gospel programs, it would have changed the game. But we went back and we caught up later when the world had already populated this whole thing in a bad way. These are the mistakes that we have made. So radio, very important. Television is very important. But the interesting thing is that both radio and television are becoming less and less of influencers. And what is becoming is the internet, is the social media. People are able to check what is going on social media quickly throughout the day than they do television and radio. Of course, and also the written media, the newspapers and stuff. During this COVID-19, many of them were just online. But when you go on Facebook, I really buy papers myself, but I know that they will appear on Facebook. Maybe a little bit later. If you want breaking news, yes, you can run for it. But what I'm saying is that everything is now available on the internet through social media. And you can choose what you want. You can choose what you subscribe to. You can choose the paper that you want to. And so this is where really the church must be challenged to say, okay, there are new ways of communicating. What are we doing to take advantage of the new ways that are there of communication? You see, social media is one way. We have apps. We can have an app on both the Android system and the iOS, the Apple system. We have an app at Mauritian AFM where we put our messages, videos, and stuff, which is a good way. Also, for those who like voice only, there are apps like SoundCloud, where if you go on SoundCloud and search Pastor Muluki Mokwane, you'll find me there. For those who just want to listen, and you can load a sermon and drive, and you can listen to it. We have Facebook, where you can do all of these things. We have Instagram. I'm not big on Instagram. My wife is. She's not much of a Facebooker. I'm more of a Facebooker. She's more of an Instagram. And I'm trying to find, I've tried for some time to do the Instagram. I forget about it. I don't know. Maybe it has to do with the way I'm wired. But these are available channels that are there that the church must be looking at and say, how can we influence the world that we live in today? When people can no longer go to church, or they don't want to go to church physically, and they want to sit in their homes, do we have something for them, or do we leave them to the world to influence them? I remember for some years I've been mocked as a pastor and called a Facebook pastor. I'm root to Facebook, they say all kinds of things. Usually I just act as if I don't hear some of these things, but I do hear about it. And now during the lockdown, many of us became Baruti by Facebook because we realized that we had no other choice. What I'm saying is the church should not be left behind. We should be open-minded enough to see the opportunities that are there, especially for the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, so that we can influence other people out there. We can find our audience everywhere where it is. And I think God, because He's wise, He has forced us to go into social media, because in the near future, maybe that is the only way we would be able to communicate. Imagine, the church in China is said to be growing and underground, and many other places where there is persecution. What do they use? They use, now I have this watch here. In this watch is an Apple Watch. It's connected to the phone. And in here, imagine you could listen to a sermon on your watch. Anywhere, maybe you are at the fields, you are plowing, whatever, you can receive messages, you can listen to, things on a small gadget like this. And these are some of the things that we must be looking at as the church to say, where is technology going and how are we going to harness it? How are we going to take advantage of it and make sure that we don't make the mistakes that our forefathers made of not being on TV, not being on radio and other things. Of course, we have to be very clear that the internet, just like television, it has some bad content there. And especially when it comes to children, we have to make sure that we put all measures. Nowadays, if you understand technology, you can filter some bad things from coming into your home, internet-wise, to make sure that you protect your children. But at the same time, it's very important that you teach your children how to use these things properly, because if they have to find it on their own, they are going to be led to the wrong places, and that is bad. My daughter now is a teenager. She's 15. She has started her YouTube channel, and she talks about different things, hairstyle, photo taking, whatever interests her, because that is what's happening. She is having already her own way of influencing, and I'm helping her as a father to know how to do it well. How the cameras, how to. Right now, when it comes to editing her videos, she does much better. She has actually taught me a few tricks on editing, and it's because the generation that we have, there's no way you can keep them out of technology. And so what you need to do is to guide them, to help them, and make sure that they help us, the older generation. I'm turning 45, in the next 2 weeks or so. I'm now an older generation. These young people, they are born in this technology. They know how to use it. And so maybe you are an older pastor out there and you don't know how to do this. Ask your children. They will help you in that. So I just want to encourage you out there who may not have been very friendly to the internet or social media, because that's where the main thing is, to try and find out, to try and learn. I've been learning a lot of things, because now here at home I had to do everything, from preparing the sermon to capturing it with the cameras, to editing the whole thing, and so that I can communicate the gospel to people out there. May the Lord help us. May we not be left behind, and may we continue to be the salt, even online, during a time like this. I hope this has challenged you and maybe also made you understand a little bit of how you can harness, how you can use what is available at our fingertips to push the gospel. God bless you, and thanks for joining me. We'll meet again next time. Bless you.